people underestimate the power of the camera that they have with them almost 24 hours a day. And that's the camera in this, my mobile phone. But there's a second reason why your photographs taken with this are sometimes just not very good. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can get photographs that look like this, with a minimum amount of effort, but with an incredible amount of success. One of the barriers to entry for photography is the perceived cost of buying a camera and all the lenses. But these days, most flagship mobile phones, and even some with less bells and whistles, cost as much, if not more, than some entry-level cameras. And the problem isn't the technology itself, it's usually how we perceive it. Because a mobile phone can do so many different things like make calls, surf the internet, emails. We kind of think of it as a jack of all trades and a master of none. But when it comes to photography, that's not necessarily true. You see, the companies that make these phones, they spend billions developing their cameras to make them as good as they can be. And in fact, it's one of the leading selling points for mobile phones. So there's every chance that the phone that you're using has a camera that is more than capable of capturing shots that you can be proud of, that you can share on Instagram, or you can even print and put on your wall. So in this video, we're going to stop looking at it like a mobile phone, we're going to treat it like a dedicated camera, and we're going to learn how to plan, shoot and edit. But to do that properly, we need to make sure that our camera is set up to maximise the chances of getting that killer image. Okay, so this might seem like the boring bit, but it's the foundation for everything else that comes next. So let's just take a couple of minutes just to make sure that you've got your phone set up to take the best quality image, and it's set up to help you rather than hinder you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our settings, we're going to go into our camera module, and we're going to change the following. First, we're going to make sure that we've got the camera set to record the highest megapixel photograph that it can. Next, we're going to make sure that we're shooting in RAW if your phone supports it. And it will become apparent later why that's so important. And if your phone doesn't shoot RAW, then you still want to change the rest of these settings. So from here, we're going to turn on the grid lines to make sure that when we come to compose our photographs, we've got the useful indicators on screen to make that an absolute doddle. And again, if your phone has the capability to do it, I would turn on the level, which makes sure that we get a nice straight horizon in our photograph. And finally, the last setting we're going to change is to preserve the RAW settings, because now that the camera is set up the way we want it, we don't want it to go back to the way it was before every time we restart the phone. So by turning this on, it helps the phone remember the settings that we've just set up. So have you done that? Well, now the fun part. Now that we're out and we're looking for photographs, we have to resist the temptation to do what almost every other mobile photographer does. And that is, yes, you've guessed it, shoot like a tourist. Remember, we're not treating this like a mobile phone anymore, and therefore we are not trying to capture snapshots to put into the family WhatsApp chat. We're trying to take real photographs that we can be proud of and make sure our images stand out on the old Instagram if you use it. And for that, we're going to ask ourselves 5 questions before we take every photograph. Now relax, I know that that sounds like a lot, but once you do it a couple of times, it will become second nature. So once you've found something that you want to take a photograph of, the first question that I would ask myself is this the very best version of this photograph that I can take? And what I mean by that is, am I standing and trying to just shoot at eye level? Am I close enough or far enough away from the subject that I don't have any distracting elements in the shot, like branches hanging over the corner of the frames, or shadows, or bins in the background, or things that I don't want to be in the photograph? Is there a different angle where I can try to exclude these things? Do I want to get down low and hold the phone close to the ground so that I've got a different perspective of the scene? And the second question I ask myself is, does this work better in landscape orientation or in portrait? And depending on the answer for that, you just rotate your phone accordingly and make sure you use the grid lines that we turned on earlier to position the key things in your photograph either on the rule of thirds or where the lines intersect, as this helps to bring an organised structure to the photograph which the viewer will ultimately find more pleasing, hopefully. Now the third thing I consider is, am I using the right lens? On my iPhone, I have an ultra wide, a wide, a 50mm setting and a zoom setting, and they all act very, very differently. So if I'm using the ultra wide, then it fits in a huge amount into the photograph, but everything then becomes tiny. And if I zoom all the way in, yes, I managed to get rid of some distractions, but have I left enough room in the photograph to tell a story? So experiment with the different lenses before you take the shot, because they do give you different results, and your job is to pick the best one. And again, just going back to what we said about composition, have I thought about how the subjects in my photograph work against each other? Is the photograph balanced, or is there too much happening on one side of the photograph? Have I used the grid lines to help me place things so that it evens it out? You'll know that composition is the most important thing to me in photography, and this is what I spend most of my time making sure I try to get it right. And finally, have I exposed the photograph correctly? So without getting overly in-depth about exposure, basically you want to make sure that all of the detail in your photograph is captured, which is why when I use my mobile phone to take photographs, I tend to underexpose them. And to do that, all I have to do is tap and hold on the screen, and then I drag my finger down to decrease the exposure or up to increase it. And what I'm looking for here is the brightest part of the image is still returning detail. And this is usually the sky. So I lower my exposure until I can make sure that all of the detail in that sky can be seen. Because when it comes to the next stage, that's vitally important. So right back at the start of the video, we set up our phone to capture raw photographs. And without diving horrendously deep into this, a raw photograph normally looks terrible before you do anything with it. It looks grey and washed out, and there is a reason for that. It's because a raw photograph retains the greatest amount of detail from your shot. If you choose to shoot in JPEG, then yes, it does look better as soon as you press the shutter button, but all of those colour choices have been made by the phone and they're baked into the file, so therefore if you do try to edit them after, there's only so much you can do before the image starts to fall apart. So now that we've got a nice high quality raw image, we need to load that into our photo editor of choice, whether that's Luminar Neo or Lightroom, both which have editing programs that can be run on your mobile phone, so you don't even need to export your files onto your desktop computer. However, I would recommend that that is the way you do it, because a bigger screen lets you see more detail and you can then make more nuanced adjustments to your photographs. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is not a Lightroom tutorial, but the key things I would be looking for is to make sure that the image has enough contrast. I would crop my image if I needed to make sure that the subject is either in the centre of the frame or positioned on one of the grid lines that we've started to use. And again, I would check to make sure that the highlights have been protected. So from here I start to add my colour grade, which involves either saturation or the luminance of the colours, or I might even change the colours a little bit. But pretty soon you'll become familiar with all of those sliders and what they do. And that's even before we start diving into masks. And if you would like a full tutorial video on how to edit mobile phone shots in Lightroom or Luminar Neo, then drop a note in the comments below. But for today, we're going to keep things nice and simple. Hopefully you can see then, with a lot of practice, a lot of persistence, and a big mindset change, we can end up with photographs that look like this. And I think the mindset is the real key here. Because as I've said, it's too easy to think that a mobile phone isn't a dedicated camera. Therefore, you don't have to apply the usual photography rules when you're capturing images. And that's what ultimately leads to tourist level snapshots that are instantly forgettable, don't have any wow factor, and they definitely don't stand out amongst the crowd. But by using all of the information in this video and following those 5 questions before you take your photograph, you can end up with really stunning images. I swear some people think I'm lying when I say that some of my photographs were taken on my mobile phone, and I take that as a compliment. But whether it's a dedicated stills camera or a shot taken on a mobile phone, the most important thing is to think like a photographer. Treat the whole process the way that you would with a dedicated camera. And always remember, the best camera in the world is the one that you have with you. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I will see you in the next one.